Hello everyone, my name is Ashantie Bisesar, and today we're going to be talking about the Korean movie Jiseul. The director of this movie is Oh Myul, and the release date is March 21st, 2013. It premiered at the 2012 Busan International Film Festival, in which it received 3 awards. It also won the World Cinema Dramatic Grand Jury Prize at the Sundance Film Festival. What set this movie apart is the fact that it uses local Jeju residents as the cast. The main character, Man-chul, is played by Sung Min-chul. Some other characters include Young-pil, who is played by Young Jung-won, and Sergeant Kim, who is played by Jang Kyung-sup. For the historical background in this movie, the time period is November 1948. Japan had surrendered to America, meaning that Korea was independent. This movie takes place on Jeju Island, which is off the south coast of South Korea. The American military in South Korea at this time issued an order in which all people that live 5 kilometers out of Korea's coastline were communist rebels and were to be executed. The soldiers tasked with this did not even know that the Korean people that they were called to execute were not even communist. In fact, they were actually quite impoverished and illiterate. So in this movie, a small village on Jeju Island receives this eviction notice. Most villagers flee to a cave to hide. In fact, Jiseul means potato in the Jeju dialect, which was chosen for this movie because they were in a dark area with little space for around 50 to 60 days, just like potatoes. Despite all of this, they keep their spirits alive for the most part with humor and hope, because the villagers experience not only the severe cold and hunger, but they also witness their loved ones dying and be bombed by the American soldiers. Man-chul plays a really big part in helping the villagers survive and helped find their loved ones left behind in the village. However, the cave was discovered and some villagers were able to escape. However, those villagers were captured and they were executed near Hollow Mountain. For the historical background of this time period, the movie was inspired by the Jeju Uprising in April 1948, which was an armed rebellion on Jeju Island as they were protesting against American-led elections. They did this since they believed that it would divide Korea. President Ri responded with suppression, and this resulted in widespread civilian casualties. I learned a lot about the period in which Korea gained independence from Japan, as well as World War II in general. Over 30,000 people lost their lives during this period, which is a significant number, especially considering that that was around 10% of Jeju's total population. I had never heard about America's involvement with this execution order, even though I've taken history classes and I've lived in America all my life. So this was quite surprising for me to learn about, and it also makes me wonder about America's unfavorable involvement in other countries that I just haven't heard about. Overall, I really like this film as it showcased the effects of the execution order on the Korean people, and this film felt very authentic. Oh Myul is a newer director, which added to this because the production quality of this movie felt very amateur, so it just lends itself to being more authentic. A scene that specifically stood out to me in this movie was watching a girl cry as she is about to be killed by a soldier, which actually was quite uncomfortable to watch. This just represents how upsetting this massacre must have been, and we can see this even from a small snippet. One of the merciless soldiers, Sergeant Kim, was ruthless simply because he did not like communists and therefore would encourage soldiers to kill more villagers. This showcases the lengths that soldiers are willing to go to for their personal beliefs. I highly recommend this film, and thank you so much for tuning in.